Hey B-Siders, welcome to a brand new episode. Thanks again for joining me. And today I'm going to talk all about joy and the joyride of life. And what song I've picked for this episode, well, you can probably guess by what I just said. I'll give you a hint. Joyride. Anyway, today I want to talk to you a little bit more about joy and the intention of inviting more joy into my life. And if you've listened to episode 55, which is the one where I shared with you that I set intentions at the moment more than goals, because I just feel like they're emotionally more connected to me and drive me a little bit better and make me take more action. You know that, I have set myself for intentions. And one of the intentions was for January, is to look into joy a little bit more. So meaning, what does joy mean to me and how can I invite it more in my life? And I know with everything that's been going on, especially over the last 2 years, there wasn't a lot of joy in our lives, right? And I was well aware that a lot of other people in my circle also look at the joy. So I, just as a bit of a side note here, I was invited on a podcast myself not so long ago, and Philippa, who was also a guest on my podcast, we talked about joy and what brings us joy in our life and my journey, through life. And this kind of stuck with me. I thought, well, joy, what is it for me? And so I started to really seriously think about the definition of joy in my life. So the song Joyride from Roxette popped into my head straight away when I thought about joy. Now, why this is kind of sort of a little bit the theme song for this episode. Because it just felt really nice. It felt really connected, and it sort of it describes the carefree enjoyment of the moment and the small things that can actually give us joy in our life. It doesn't have to be big things, right? So this is going to be the song that I really love and I will use for the theme of this episode. So if you want to go and check it out, or if you haven't heard it for a while and you just need an uplifting, joyful song, Roxette's Joyride is definitely the one I would recommend you check out. And this kind of inspired me to start that journey of looking at joy and how it personally feels to me. Just today, I went on for a walk along our local river, and obviously I was pondering on that question. What does joy mean to me? What's my definition of joy? And once I know that, how can I invite that a little bit more into my life? I know that the last few years, there have been a lot of struggle in my life. And I also recognize that a lot of it is self-inflicted struggles. I remember one of my coaches asked me probably about nearly 2 years ago saying, why do you love living in Struggle Street? And over those 2 years, I have pondered about it a lot, but for some reason, maybe it's laziness or just not wanting to change anything, I never really answered that question. Now you're wondering what Struggle Street got to do with joy. Well, if we're struggling, there's no joy in our life. And obviously we're more on the negative side of life. And I now feel that joy can combat that. And I had to ask myself, well, how can I turn this around? And it will be one small step at a time. I know that now. And if you're in the same position like myself, one thing I had to learn is that sometimes it might take us a little bit longer than we hope it would. And that's okay. We can still find our joy again. So what did I do? Well, I started to read more around joy. How do other people describe joy and how how they think we can get it back in our life? How can I invite it more in my life? So I started to read a lot of blog articles, a lot of articles by by sort of psychological websites, but also by some influencers. I don't like the word influencer, but anyway, and just see what their definition is. And does that resonate with me? And can I take little tidbits out of that and make my own definition for me personally where I am right now? That was a big one. And I realized very quickly that, yeah, of course I can. And one thing I also noticed is to find joy again, it means going back in my life and looking at, well, when did I experience moments of joy or phases of joy where I was happy, I was smiling, everything was just almost bliss. It was just going well. Everything was positive. And this is a process I'm still going through. I've obviously thought on my walk today a lot about that too. Well, when was I really joyful? And how can I not replicate that? That's not the word for it, because we change over time. And obviously what happened in my 20s is not going to exactly be the same in my 40s, right? But how can I take that experience and maybe move it into the now? And that's something I'm still working on. I have a few ideas how that's going to work out, but obviously it's a singing process. One thing I do know is, though, there's always small moments of joy every day. Like, I'll give you an example today, not just that wonderful walk along the river, seeing, the water flowing and the little ripple effects and the little baby fish swimming around and a mama duck coming up to me and the cool breeze on my skin and just moving my body. All that is joyful. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. It puts a smile on my face. This is something I can do every day. And again, the walking bit was actually inspired by a former coach of mine. She's doing a challenge to walk 2023 Ks this year. And I thought, well, you know what? I can do that. And it's amazing that, it made me feel joyous. So it made me feel good. It put a smile on my face. So sometimes we also have to look around us. What do other people do that might resonate with me and makes me feel joyful? The other thing I will do, and I started to think about it, but I haven't done it yet, is I will create a joyful playlist. Now, that doesn't have to be songs that have joy in the title or something like that. For example, Roxette's Joyride will be on there because it is an upbeat song that makes me smile. But it can just be songs that uplift me, that put a smile on my face, that just make my day, and just listening to that every day in the morning. That might be a great way for me to, because you obviously know music, big part of my life, living on a B-side, all right? Maybe that's something you could do. Create a joy playlist. This brings me to, how can you invite more joy in your life? Well, I already gave you a few examples of how you can do that. And of course, number one is always music. Music is here to connect us to our emotions. So if you don't even remember what joy feels like, put on some old tunes from when you were younger and just see if that still gives you this warm and fuzzy feeling, if that lifts you up, if that makes you smile, if it makes you dance, it will automatically go into joyful, right? And again, that exercise of going back to when you were younger or when you felt like you were having positivity and happiness in your life. Can you pick something from there and translate it into now? Can you do that every day? Maybe become a bit more mindful and grateful as well. Sit outside in your garden or on your balcony and just look around and look at the beautiful clouds and say, wow, they're beautiful. That makes me smile. Again, joy, right? It's really important, I think, and again, I'm still going through the process, so I'm no expert at this, to define what joy means for us right now and how we can invite that in our life right now. And that's a very personal thing to do. So it will look different for everyone. And then once you know that, start to implement that every day. And if you're an introvert like myself, you're always in your head. You're constantly thinking and you sort of get thinking paralysis sometimes. And that we got to ditch. Start with small steps. And if that's just creating that playlist and playing that playlist every second day, it's as small as that. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope that was beneficial. If you think so, please let me know. Leave a comment or get in touch with me on social media and let me know what you do to bring more joy into your life. I would really love to hear from you what your definition of joy is and how you create a little bit of joyful moments in your day. And don't forget, music can always help. Right, B-siders, I'm signing off. I'm putting my mic on mute and I'm gonna go and enjoy the rest of my day. And I hope you keep on dancing and keep on rocking. And until my next episode, take care. Bye.